The Mystery of Melchizedek. Melchizedek is a bit of a mystery figure in the Bible. He first shows up in Genesis chapter 14 after Abraham, or Abram as he was then called, has returned from defeating the 5 kings that had kidnapped his nephew Lot. The Amplified Bible Classic Edition describes the encounter in this way. Melchizedek, king of Salem, later called Jerusalem, brought out bread and wine for their nourishment. He was the priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, Blessed, favored with blessings be Abram by God Most High, possessor and maker of heaven and earth, and blessed, praised, and glorified be God Most High, who has given your foes into your hand. And Abram gave him 1/10 of all he had taken. Nothing particularly mysterious there. Melchizedek is next mentioned by David in Psalm 110 verses 1 to 4. Yahweh says to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool for your feet. Yahweh has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. World English Bible. The mystery really begins, though, when the writer of Hebrews begins to talk about Melchizedek, quoting from Psalm 110. No one elects himself to this honored position. He's called to it by God, as Aaron was. Neither did Christ presume to set himself up as high priest, but was set apart by the one who said to him, You're my son, today I celebrate you. In another place, God declares, You're a priest forever, in the royal order of Melchizedek. That was Hebrews chapter 5, verses 4 to 6 from the Message translation. So far so not very mysterious, but look at Hebrews chapter 7, verse 1 to 3. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace, without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life. The first thing we learn from this is that Melchizedek is a title rather than a name. But then comes the part about not having a father or mother, or beginning or end, which is somewhat confusing to say the least. Surely Melchizedek must have had parents. He must have been born, and by the time Hebrews was written, about 2,000 years after Abraham met Melchizedek, he must surely have died. The puzzle is partly solved by the way the easy-to-read version translates verse 3. No one knows who his father or mother was, or where he came from, and no one knows when he was born or when he died. Melchizedek is like the Son of God in that he will always be a priest. No one knowing the details of Melchizedek's parents or his birth and death certainly makes more sense than him not having parents and never being born or dying. One of the theories about Melchizedek is that he was Jesus. However, the writer of Hebrews only states that Melchizedek is like the Son of God, not that he is the Son of God. Also, for Jesus and Melchizedek to be one and the same, it would mean that Jesus had lived on the earth prior to being born of Mary. Then, at some point, he returned to heaven to wait for the right time to come back, this time as a baby. When you put it like that, it does not seem very likely, does it? There is another possible identity for Melchizedek, though. I mentioned earlier that the first time Melchizedek showed up in the Bible is in Genesis chapter 14, when he met Abram. But, according to the Jewish sages, Melchizedek appeared way back in Genesis chapter 5. They assert that the first time Melchizedek appears in the Bible is in Genesis chapter 5, verse 32, which reads, When Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Did you spot him? Possibly not, but remember that Melchizedek is a title, and in Genesis chapter 5 that title had not yet been assigned to him. The Jewish sages identify Melchizedek as Shem, and they say that he was titled Melchizedek, or King of Righteousness, because he was king of the future site of the temple, the home of righteousness. They say that as the most honored of Noah's children, Shem was made the priest of God in Jerusalem or Salem. We can certainly learn a lot from what has been written down by the Jews, but we must bear in mind that their writings are not scripture. So is their assertion that Shem was given the title of Melchizedek and later met Abram possible? Wouldn't Shem have been dead by the time Abraham was around? He was, after all, Abraham's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. The surprising answer is no. And even more surprising, neither was Noah. Although Noah had died by the time we are actually introduced to Abram, Shem was born in the year 1558 from creation. We know this because he was 100 years old, 2 years after the flood in the year 1658 from creation. Shem lived until the year 2158 from creation, and as Abraham was born in the year 1948 from creation, their lives did indeed overlap. Shem even lived 35 years after Abraham died. Shem's immense age would certainly have put him in an excellent position to be the priest of God Most High, as Genesis 14 calls Melchizedek. So, whilst we cannot say with certainty that Shem was Melchizedek, he certainly seems to be a very plausible candidate. Thank you for listening to our devotional. We hope that you have been blessed. If you have, please take the time to share it with a friend so that they can be blessed too. Also, please subscribe to our channel, click the like button, and leave any comments or prayer requests below.